Hello, family members. I have a kind of weird topic that I want to talk about. I'm not really sure what the answer is. And, honestly, if you have any feedback, I wouldn't mind hearing it because I just honestly, I don't know how I feel about it. But um, I have several members of my family that have gotten into genealogy over the years. And when I was like maybe in high school or something, one of my great aunts found out that um, my family is descended from Pocahontas. And at the time, I thought that was like really neat, you know? I was like, oh, wow, that's kind of cool. You know, I have this like a connection back to history. You know, I knew that my family had been in the United States on the other side from like Revolutionary War times, but I didn't know that it was from both sides. So I was like, oh, that's really neat, you know. But oh, and by the way, this isn't like any sort of like unique thing. There are a lot of people who are descendants of her. Like George W. Bush is also a descendant. One of my mom's coworkers is also a descendant. Like there's just a lot. She had a fairly broad genetic legacy, despite the fact that she did not live very long, which is kind of wild. But anyway, as I've kind of learned more and started kind of changing my perspective on American history and colonialization and the treatment of Native Americans and all indigenous people worldwide and things like that. I began to realize what a horrible story her story is. You know, like very, very young, she got married off, taken away to England, and then died. You know, never got to go home again. Didn't get to like watch her kids grow up or anything. Like her story is really a tragedy. You know, I mean, there's obviously the weird Disney movie they made of it, which is like, I don't know why you would you would make something about a character that was a real person that was especially that was that not that long ago. Like it's very strange to me. Like and I don't think I've ever actually watched that movie. I never was interested in it. Um, Even after finding out that she was my ancestor, I was just like, nah, nah. But you know, there there's that show, Finding Your Roots. And often on that show, they'll have black celebrities who find out not only that they had enslaved ancestors, but that the white people who had enslaved those enslaved ancestors were potentially or definitely their biological ancestors as well. And I just think about what an awkward feeling that is, realizing these ancestors that you're proud of because they survived oppression and the oppressor of that ancestor are both part of your genetic legacy. And I kind of feel like it's the opposite for me with the Pocahontas thing. I kind of feel like, you know, she was exploited and her oppressor or oppressors are part of me too. You know, that I can't, there's no way to be her descendant and not also to be John Rolfe's descendant too, you know? And so I don't know if it's something to be proud of or not, you know? Or, I mean, I guess obviously I'm proud of her. You know, I know that she had to have been a remarkable woman. But it just makes me sad, you know, when I think about how her life ended. And she was so young, you know. Like, my mother's been doing a lot of genealogy, and she's found out that we have ancestors that were in the same area of what is now the state of Virginia, that my sister-in-law's family's from. And that it is quite possible that my sister-in-law has enslaved ancestors who are from that same area where I had white ancestors living at the same time. And we don't know. I mean, it's possible that their paths crossed. And that my nieces and nephews literally might have a genetic legacy from both sides of those people. And if that turned out to be true, I wonder what they would think about that, you know? I sure hope that they see race so different than we do. You know, race is not a biological thing, it's a social thing, right? And my nieces and nephew are as much white Americans as they are black Americans, you know? But when people look at them, what will they see? I've always assumed, because it's always been the way before, that people look at them and see black people. But, you know, maybe that's not the case. Maybe they'll be, you know, recognized as being mixed race. You know, it's silly for us to ignore the fact that you know, children who are mixed race, who are raised by interracial parents, don't have influence from both sides of their family, you know? Like, my nieces and nephew love my parents. They love my parents. And they also love their other grandparents, you know? Like, and their aunt and uncle and cousins who are black, you know? Like, they will have influence from both cultures equally. And is it right that people would identify them as being one or the other? You know? Why should they need to be? Why should they have to be? But there's a complicated thing that happens when you start going back far enough in genealogy, especially if you're an American, you know? And I don't think it's easy to necessarily think about the legacy of those people, the things they did in the name of their line, of their family, of their descendants, you know? But at the same time, I do know that in the year 2024, the only children that have my family's last name, Brady, my brother's children, are mixed race children. And they carry the legacy of, white Americans who have been in the United States for as long as there's been a United States or even before. And they also carry the legacy of enslaved people who didn't come here because of any choice that they made. And maybe it's up for them to decide what that means. Maybe it's up for them to tell us how they want to balance those legacies. What do you think, Shucks? Come here, Booba. Oh. Oh, come here. Oh. What do you think, Shucksy? He's excited. He gets to see Aspen, my niece, again very soon. She's going to come visit. And she was his mommy first before I was, so. Sometimes aunties have to step up when nieces don't end up liking kitties as much as they think they will. I don't know. Like I said, this is something I'm willing to take feedback on because it's something I'm still trying to process myself. So, if you have any thoughts, let me know. I'm happy to hear it. Even if you think I'm being stupid, I'd like to know. All right. Take care of yourself. Bye.